Short exercise 10-3, depreciation, then three methods here, the straight line, units of production, double declining balance. So on January 1st, 2025, Air Scotland purchased a used airplane for $43 million. Air Scotland expects the plane to remain useful for 5 years, 4 million miles, and to have a residual value of $7 million. The company expects the plane to be flown 1.4 million miles during the first year. Let's go ahead and open up the requirements. So I want to calculate the depreciation using 3 different methods now. And of course, in the real world, you're going to pick one depreciation method and stick with it. So this exercise is giving us practice with 3 different methods. So let's go to requirement 1A. Looks like we'll be using straight line depreciation for this one. So requirement 1A, compute Air Scotland's first year depreciation expense on the plane using the straight line method. Begin by selecting the formula to calculate the company's first year depreciation expense on the plane using the straight line method. Then enter the amounts and calculate the depreciation for the first year. So our first task is to enter the formula in words. So do you remember what the straight line depreciation formula is? It's the cost minus residual value, and some books will call the salvage value, divided by the useful life in years. So we need to go ahead and plug in the costs here for the first portion, that residual value, divided by useful life. There at the bottom. Let's go ahead and check our answer. Fantastic. Okay, so now we need our numbers. So first off, what is our cost? It's that 43 million. So we can go ahead and input that here. And residual value is given here for the 7 million. So we'll subtract out 7 million divided by useful life, which is also given here. It is 5 years. So we'll go ahead and input 5. And then, so we'll take our calculator out here to calculate this. 43 million. I think that's enough zeros there. And then take out 7 million equals 36 million. And then we divide that number by 5. And then that's going to be 7,200,000. So let's go ahead and enter that in for our straight line depreciation. And let's check our answer. Good job. Okay. So the 7.2 million represents the annual depreciation that this asset, this airplane, is going to see. And that will be for every year of its useful life here, which is those 5 years. And next we have requirement 1B, compute Air Scotland's first year depreciation expense on the plane using the units of production method, which is basically the more you use something, the more it's depreciated. So how do you keep track of that? How do you do that? It's by miles for this airplane. So we need to plug in the formula in words first. So the formula is cost minus residual value divided by useful life in units. And again, the useful life in units in this case is the number of miles we think this plane can be flown, and that's right up here for the 4 million miles. So let's go ahead and check our answer here to get our words right. Well done. And then, so we'll just go ahead and get the same computation here for the beginning. The cost was that 43 million. The residual value again, 7 million. And this time it's the useful life in units, which is that 4 million miles. And then let's go ahead and get our calculator open to get that calculation in. So 43 million minus 7 million equals the 3.6 million, sorry, 36 million. And then we go ahead and divide that by the 4 million miles that we think this airplane is going to be useful for. And the number is 9. So that's the depreciation per unit. So for each mile this airplane flies, it's going to be depreciated here by $9. So let's go ahead and check our answer. Good job. Okay, so moving on here. Now select the formula, enter the amounts, and calculate the company's first year depreciation expense on the plane using the units of production method. So again, that's the second method here. So we need to start by taking the depreciation per unit, which is here the $9. And that's going to be times the current year usage. And that is given to us here for the 1.4 million miles during the first year at the top of the problem. So we'll go ahead and input that amount, 1.4 million. And then we can get our calculator out here to figure out what that amount is. So we have the $9 of depreciation per mile times 1.4 million miles. And that is 12,600,000. Let's go ahead and enter that here and check our answer. Excellent. And we have requirement 1C, compute Air Scotland's first year depreciation expense on the plane using the double declining balance method. And so we have to start out here with our formula. And so double declining balance means they're multiplying it by 2, which results in a lot of depreciation in the early years. So it quickly goes down in the early years and then little depreciation in the later years. So let's get our formula in words. So cost minus accumulated depreciation, and then that's going to be multiplied by, and this next piece here is something a lot of students forget, times 2. Remember, it's double declining balance. So we have that 2 times 1 divided by useful life. And check our answer. Excellent. Okay. Now that we have that formula in, let's get that $43 million cost in again. Then our cumulative depreciation, we're going to be subtracting that here in a second. So now remember, this is the first year, so how much has the plane been depreciated so far? None, so we'll input 0 since there's no depreciation yet. And again, that useful life was 5 years. Then we're going to drop this down here and select this one. It's the 2 times 1 divided by 5, and 5 is on the bottom because that's the useful life. We said the useful life is 5 years. So now we can go ahead and do our calculation. Take that 43 million and then we're for the cost, and then no depreciation, so we can go ahead and subtract 0 or just leave it be. And then we're going to take that number and multiply it by 2, divide by 5, equals 17,200,000. I'll go ahead and enter that in and check our answer. Excellent. So again, quick review, that's $17.2 million of depreciation for the double declining balance method here. That's the depreciation we'd be using in the first year under this method. And then we have the requirement here, requirement 2, show the airplane's book value at the end of the first year for all three methods. So the cost, again, is going to be the same across the board. Cost does not change here. And we can copy and paste or type it in. So 43 million into each of these. And then we have less accumulated depreciation. And since we already have this double declining one in, we can go ahead and skip ahead for a quick second and input that there. And scroll back up. It looks like for the first year, for this one, it's 7.2 million for the straight line depreciation method. So 7. And then for the units of production method, again, let's have a quick peek. That was at 12.6 million. Okay, and then some math here. So 43 million for the straight line depreciation method here. That's the cost. And then we're going to go ahead and subtract out that depreciation of 7.2 million. And that equals 35,800,000. Go ahead and enter that in. And then next, 43 million minus 12.6 million. That number is 30,400,000. And then clear out again and get the cost in again for the double declining balance. Again, same as all of the others. And then we're going to subtract out 17.2 million. That number is at 25,800,000. Go ahead and input that. And then we can go ahead and check our answer. Close this off here for a second. Oh, looks like we got something wrong. And it appears, since we are subtracting these, we need to make these negative, actually. So, good looking out there. Go ahead and make these numbers negative since we are subtracting this depreciation. And check our answer and see if that made it better. Good job. So a little review here of these methods. So if your boss said, well, we're thinking about getting this airplane, so run these 3 scenarios for us with these different depreciation methods. So the one gives you the most depreciation in the first year is going to be that double declining balance. So remember, depreciation is depreciation expense and accumulated depreciation. So if your boss's goal was to maximize expenses so you can lower net income, which would therefore lower taxes, then double declining balance would be what you want. And then if your goal in the first year is to have the least amount of depreciation, then you go with that straight line depreciation. So lower depreciation expense would mean higher net income. So it depends on what you're looking for and what your executive goals are for the company. That's it.